Iran attacks Israel with more than 300 drones and ballistic missiles, in the face of a threat already warned by the United States. Investors fear an arms race that could jeopardize the globalized world economy. We only have to see how the price of Bitcoin dropped by approximately 10 over the weekend after the news broke. Why does the speculative investor seek to devalue the price of Bitcoin in the face of a hypothetical scenario of open war? The answer lies in the fear that arises over the potential manipulation of the price of energy controlled by the conflict territory, which could be used to pressure its rivals. If the price of energy is manipulated, it would result in inflationary pressures that central banks would counter with an increase in interest rates. And this is where we see the problem of why we see Bitcoin falling rapidly and purely speculatively in the short term. The speculative investor fears that the Fed will resume the interest rate hike that it was already starting to reverse. Many think that Bitcoin is a safe haven currency and should have been rewarded favorably in the face of such events. But nothing could be further from the truth. Historically, when the Fed has implemented a rate hike policy, Bitcoin has reacted negatively. This implies that speculators today, from the perspective of rising interest rates, see Bitcoin more as a currency than as a store of value. So, how can Iran's attack on Israel affect the price of cryptocurrencies? Look at how Bitcoin, after the Iranian attack, experienced a strong, very aggressive and bearish momentum. We are talking about a drop of approximately 10, but I want you to realize something. First, we have updated our structure due to recent events. And look at this 4-hour chart, how this drop that has flooded newspaper headlines everywhere you look, where so much emphasis is placed on cryptocurrencies dropping by 10. If we put it into context, we will realize that in today's times, we are seeing this kind of volatility and nothing has happened. What do I mean by this message? I mean that, of course, the speculative market has reacted to the news and we have seen volatility in the market. But to consider this initial news as a catalyst or a macro black swan, we have to see very aggressive structural breaks. And in Bitcoin today, and having updated the structure, as we are obligated to do, we do not have such a break. In other words, let's not look for a long-term consequence from an initial news event of which we do not know how future events will unfold and how they will affect Bitcoin's price. Well, look, without going any further, let's take a trip down memory lane and look at the SHIB 500 chart. And if you've been following the Crypto Insight channel for a long time, you'll remember when the war between Russia and Ukraine broke out, it seemed like the world was going to end economically. Inflation was through the roof, interest rates, oil prices, everything was skyrocketing. The traditional market was collapsing, headlines in the press. You'll remember how back then, based on price structure, we were visualizing very high probabilities that we were facing an event more focused on being a bearish absorption catalyst, a kind of trap to really start an upward move. In hindsight, everything seems very easy, but believe me, these kinds of events make retail investors very afraid. And we must also bear in mind that news is used as movement catalysts by large investment funds. One day, a negative piece of news like a war potentially leading to something bigger, they will use it to absorb fear and push the market up. Other times, they will use it to enter a range and create uncertainty, and at other times, they will use it to crash the market. We have more than demonstrated that the same news can affect the market completely differently, and we should never take anything for granted. That is why, regarding cryptocurrencies, there is no need to panic. I appeal for calm. Because if you remember from previous videos, what we were looking for, what we were observing was, in fact, I'll give you a spoiler. It still is. We are in a bullish impulse that is being continued in price with an uptrend channel. As I mentioned earlier, we have updated the structure. Before, it was a somewhat more aggressive channel, but to the point. Our idea was simply that after seeing the impulse, the channel, and the range, we expected short-term declines in the crypto before going to look for a bullish climactic action that would close the $78,000 gap. And look, as part of a narrative where we are looking for this bullish climactic action, I will tire of saying that our way of working is to have no ego. Not to think that we know the future, nor to have any guarantee that what we are visualizing will happen. And it is for that reason that with the Crypto Insight members, always in strict live sessions, we started looking for a short entry idea in the market at this level I am marking on the Bitcoin price. Despite expecting a bullish climactic action, we need to understand price structure and, under the philosophy of having no ego, interpret that we were facing a very good opportunity to go short here. We honestly expected this bearish impulse to be replicated, for it to fail, and then to offer us the search for the bullish climactic action. But under the idea of not pretending to have a crystal ball, looking for a short here to seek the first bearish move was also focused on the hypothesis of what if we are wrong? The lesson from this situation is that we are already in it. From here, in yesterday's yesterday's live session, I was telling them, look, yes, I see the climactic action, whatever you want, but what were we already looking for yesterday on smaller time frames to open this short from here in the crypto? And what was I telling you? Yes, in my mind, whatever you want with the gap, whatever you want that I have for breakfast, as if to say, thinking about the gap, whatever you want that I think about being bullish, but here we are opening shorts. Do you know why? Because we have no ego, and the price can perfectly collapse and never see any bullish climactic action, but we are already in it. In what? In the short. In our failure. Therefore, we should not work with ego, and even less have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with closing or touching a structure, since we frankly do not know if something like that is going to happen. Although it may seem like I am contradicting myself with the message, if you understand what I am trying to convey between my words, you will see that it makes sense, a coherence that is really functional when it comes to trading. And here you have just seen a snippet from the live session we had last Friday with the Crypto Insight community. And now I am going to show you how the day before, on Thursday, of course, also live. We set the specific entry levels not only for Bitcoin, but also for 5 other cryptocurrencies. Well, okay, all this has to be seen as a distribution. That in itself is a distribution, and here this position is being defended. That is the optimal zone for short entries. Let's see if any asset like Cardano briefly allows us to see a short opportunity. You see, you have to look for this, okay? That's what you have to look for. If Bitcoin and Ethereum don't allow us short entries, we'll make them ourselves in altcoins, okay? Here, hopefully this little trap is sincere. And if it goes up, they defend you to look for the move. Do you understand me? In Solana, on the guideline, how good would it be? How good would it be? Let's already put in a creek. It would be better that Solana going up a little makes a trap within the trap. In the trap, in Solana, we can look for that short. But well, about the creek, I mean, a potential breakout. I don't think it's going to hell, but of course, I could be wrong. Maybe it does go to hell. I frankly don't think so, but we have to look for short entries. I hope the market offers us the opportunity and doesn't just run down, which can happen, of course. But if SHIB comes around here, we'll look for the short, maybe with a little trap. Why not? And we look for that short. Already here, of course, the classic entry was from this trap. The classic trap that we are now looking for. Here it already happened. Are they going to offer us a re-entry with a slope? It could be. I hope it doesn't go directly to do what we expect it to do. The crypto, which is to fall in the immediate term, and then start the rise and give us the opportunity to join. For this, we will wait for DOT to see if it offers us that opportunity on this type of structure to look for the short. Remember, a well-adjusted stop loss, and see if it gives us, after the impulse and the channel and the range, a bearish climactic action. In XRP, what should we expect? What should we expect? Maybe here at the creek, the origin of the breakout, they come here to test it. If it goes wrong, try again here and look for those shorts of the potential climactic action. This would be an option for XRP. As you may have noticed, the entire crypto market has experienced a nice, widespread downturn in the credits that have been placed in XERPA, downturn that we were able to identify the specific point, the exact point in multiple cryptocurrencies to be able to join in that micro-bearish idea. This should serve as an example of why we must take our ego and bury it deep, deep inside. And it's also a very good demonstration to understand that we shouldn't obsess, and that it's much less necessary than it seems to try to make perfect drawings of what one thinks might happen with a price. All of this, as you've just seen, is much more focused on understanding how smart money moves the price, identifying good structural areas that allow us optimal risk management, and working from there. Now I'm going to update our analysis, as many cryptocurrencies are showing us some very, very interesting things at a structural level. But before that, welcome to Crypto Insight, your ethical and moral channel for cryptocurrency technical analysis. Here, we really know what we're talking about. We conduct advanced technical analysis that has been developed for over 12 years. We upload videos several times a week. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, let me know and leave a comment with your opinion. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell so you don't miss the next opportunity. Let's observe what has happened with Bitcoin, because if before we were working with a different structure, now it becomes very evident to us, after seeing the recent events, that the bullish channel really goes through here. In fact, for several hours, this has been confirmed to us. At the same time, we come here to realize that what Bitcoin has done, that excursion below the macro bullish channel, has come to seek a macro defense zone, and simply by seeing that the price has plummeted after such a disastrous news, the reason for this video, and seeing that the price has been rejected and has recovered a structure, here one can think that they have just absorbed short positions, something similar to what happened a few months ago with the Russia-Ukraine war when it started. We experienced something similar. The market was filled with fear and then turned around and in the process absorbed, something we are now putting on the table since the bullish channel impulse narrative, which is now working a range to seek a macro bullish climactic action. Lane's completely on the table as long as it is not proven otherwise. We have simply updated the structure and see that everything remains the same with the informative addition, which is very valuable, in which they may have absorbed here. Do you understand the message? Let's analyze what Ethereum has done, because it seems the same. It was already breaking a key structure, and that's exactly what it did, and now it would be doing a test, a validation. But what I'm here to observe is that we have a defense zone here that they came to seek during the news and then perforated, generating a potential trap scenario, and right now Ethereum's price is recovering. So, the reading, frankly, is very simple for us. If Ethereum is able to recover this defense zone and validates it for us, just like with Bitcoin, as we are facing such a low structural zone, everything would then invite us to be positive for the short and medium term in crypto. We cannot ignore that we have just potentially set up a bearish trap where clearly, look at the volume, they could absorb liquidity. And to have this analysis confirmed, redundantly speaking, what you want to see is a confirmation in Ethereum like the one I've outlined for you to start thinking positively. Now, let's do some CI work on the Cardano chart. Here, in a first instance, it's very striking how they generated a macro trap, which is nothing new either. Notice what happens when they trap us in a defense zone and then confirm it. The result, I think, is already evident to everyone. It's a bit of what we want to see, this kind of confirmation in the Ethereum chart, but in the opposite direction, of course. But coming back to Cardano, as you know well, they've done an accumulation job here. They've generated an impulse that has received a replica that has failed, not as deep as they would have liked. Here we have a creek, because of course we were going to believe in its structural break, as when a harmonic fails in its length, we can believe in the break of the opposite structure. And well, everything has gone as planned, as this event has come perfectly timed with the news from Iran and Israel. Look how it's a movement catalyst that smart money seems to be, as I just described, could have already prepared it. But let's focus on what's important here. We've come from an accumulation process that has broken, and now look at what they've gone to seek and where they've reacted. Ultimately, what they've done is go back to the origin of the break. You know that the origin of the break is a very key level on which there are high chances of reaction in the price of any asset. That's why we can say that in the case of Cardano, we're reacting to a structural extreme, which of course now has to work to confirm that hypothesis, because that hypothesis would be useless if they come tomorrow and break the creek downwards. But don't worry, I'll explain in the end what you need to look at on the chart to discard this positivity for the short and medium term. And moving a bit forward in the events, I'll tell you that Solana's chart in its daily time frame is perhaps the cryptocurrency that could be the biggest party pooper in the entire ecosystem. You just need to see how they've broken, how they've pierced a macro bullish wedge, which of course we identify as a sign of a distribution process. After the news, we see a very important structural break, and if we were analyzing Solana alone, the message probably wouldn't be too encouraging. But fortunately, we're analyzing the entire ecosystem, and what we can say about Solana is that it is indeed the party pooper, because when the price breaks these types of structures the way it has done, it can be a very negative trigger for its price. And frankly, we won't see the entire ecosystem rising while Solana is bleeding out. Something like that won't happen. This is when we simply have to question if Solana is really going to fall as it promises to do. My biggest recommendation is to monitor this structure. You're seeing on the screen now because we know that after breaking such an important structure with this strong bearish impulse, they usually hit and bounce on a structure they may be creating right now, at least to start some kind of correction. In this sense, it would be bullish for the future if they really want to break it and start a bearish path. But keep the message that matters. Let's observe if this trend line is broken or not. As long as it's not broken, the idea of long positions in the crypto ecosystem still makes sense, because even in the scenario where in the future it breaks aggressively downwards, even in this scenario it must first correct upwards. Now, let's look at Shiba Inu, also in its daily time frame. I believe everyone knows that here the big institutions, the smart money, have been accumulating long positions for a long time, and it probably only took a tweet from Elon Musk with any story related to the canine world to get a catalyst for an explosion as strong as what we've experienced in Shiba Inu. But what matters is looking at what's happening here in the immediate term, and it's seeing how we're working on a defense zone that, of course, has been aggressively breached after the news, and now Shiba Inu is fighting to recover it. Notice that everything isn't set in stone, with the concept of cryptocurrencies being bullish for the short and medium term. As you often hear me say, we are in a sneeze zone where the opposite is more likely to happen. What I mean by this is that to be positive, we must see Shiba Inu reclaim the defense zone and test that confirmation. If that happens, then it's more than likely that we can continue being positive about the crypto ecosystem. Shiba Inu doesn't determine anything. Now, I'll show you what to look for on the Bitcoin chart to seek the same confirmation but within its own structure. Take a look at the Polkadot chart and tell me if you're liking what you're seeing. If so, leave your opinion in the comments. Also give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and click on the bell icon so that YouTube notifies you of future posts. If you've enjoyed what you're seeing a defense zone here that, after a very aggressive drop, coincidentally, Polkadot lands on a very evident macro structure. Very, very evident. And this is where things turn green. In other words, they've come to attack a defense zone with a lot of volume, a lot of fear, where everything indicates for the moment that it's been absorbed. If we see a click forming soon and it breaks, then we realize that we're facing a market extreme and we can be positive. The same thing you're going to see on the link chart. It's aggressively gone to seek a defense zone, just like on the rune chart. The price has come to seek a macro structure on which it's now reacting. And with XRP, I'll tell you more of the same. Look at this trend line and how the price is now reacting to it. Before telling you what you need to see on the Bitcoin chart to dismiss this crypto optimism for the short and medium term, what you need to see on the Bitcoin chart to stop being positive in the cryptocurrency market is that at some point the price breaks with a lot of force. If we want to see a lot of strength, and then in the attempt to recover the defense zone or the structure, which I would focus more on the defense zone. If it fails, this could indeed be an indicative of a new crypto trend. At first, I wouldn't be observing this. I would be prioritizing the discourse we've been launching for weeks of prioritizing the impulse channel range idea and waiting for a climactic action. All the crossed information points me more in this direction, but you know we don't have ego, and we'll be very prepared for any event that may arise. And of course, in Crypto Insight, we'll identify those key structures that offer us the best opportunities in our fight to benefit from such an exciting market as cryptocurrencies. Now, tell me, do you think we're going to experience the bullish climactic action around $78,000? Or do you think sooner rather than later we're going to head down? Leave your opinion in the comments. And if you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, click on the bell icon for future notifications. And of course, share this content with other trading and cryptocurrency communities to help Crypto Insight grow even more. Good luck with your trading, and until next time.